Hello everyone, welcome to the series on the history of English literature. And this video is the sixth part on poetry during interwar years. And in this video, we discuss new traditionalism in poetry. First of all, introduction. Not all interwar poets embraced avant-garde experimentation, while surrealism and high modernist techniques offered rupture and shock. Many poets refused experiment beyond certain limits. Their aim was not to dismantle poetry's inherited forms, but to use traditional structures to register modern experience, private emotion, social change, and the uneasy survival of older values in a transformed world. This tendency, sometimes called New Traditionalism, rested on continuity. That is, familiar meters, clear syntax, and recognizable lyric or narrative modes. Yet it was not nostalgic. These poets asked how the self could remain morally and emotionally coherent when society itself felt unstable. Core features of the New Traditionalism. New Traditionalism was defined less by a single manifesto than by shared priorities. Controlled technique. Preference for established meters, stanza forms, and rhetorical clarity. Individual emotional development. Poetry as a record of inner growth, conflict, and moral struggle rather than public theory. Environment and place. Landscape and locality used as moral and psychological contexts. Old values in a new society. A sustained inquiry into whether inherited ideals, duty, restraint, faith, honesty, still hold meaning after war and modern upheaval. In short, these poets sought new attitudes while keeping a traditional base, proving that formal care could coexist with modern tension. Roy Campbell, Energy, Color and Poetry of Vigor. Roy Campbell, 1901 to 1957, a South African poet, represents the strain of New Traditionalism driven by dynamism and intensity. Dedicated to movement, color, adventure, vigor, Campbell brought rhetorical force to traditional poetic construction. His major works include Admaster 1930, Flowering Rifle 1939. Campbell's poetry often carries the pulse of action and a vivid sensory palette. Even when the subject matter brushes against political or historical tension, the dominant impression is one of muscular language and energetic momentum. Traditional form used as a vessel for heightened experience. Edwin Muir, Orkney Landscapes and Quiet Grandeur. Edwin Muir, 1887 to 1959, offered a contrasting traditionalism, calm, reflective, and shaped by place. He captured the rugged dignity and calm beauty of the Orkneys, where landscape becomes more than scenery, it becomes a moral grammar. Key collections include Variations on a Time Theme, 1934, Journeys and Places, 1937, and later volumes, The Labyrinth, 1949, One Foot in Eden, 1956. Muir's traditionalism is meditative rather than decorative. His poems frequently turn toward fate, memory, and human steadiness, finding in the harsh northern world an image of endurance and spiritual gravity. Andrew Young, Rural Intimacy and Observational Clarity. The Scots Cleric, Andrew Young, 1885 to 1971, grounded his poetry in intimate knowledge of countryside life, plants, creatures, seasonal rhythms. His signature strengths were detailed observation, precision without ornament, lucid phraseology, clarity of description and sentiment. His poems, notably collected in 1936 and 1948, show how new traditionalism could thrive through attentiveness rather than innovation. The rural world becomes a site of ethical steadiness and quiet wonder. Robert Graves, classical restraint, irony, and erotic conflict. Robert Graves is a central figure in new traditionalism because his work exemplifies traditional form with modern psychological intensity. Though long underappreciated, he came to be recognized as one of the period's finest poets. Key traits shaped by his classical learning include conciseness of expression, strong, simple construction, restraint that intensifies emotion, a persistent, ironic tone. Graves's core subject is people, especially those moved by love and sex, and by the painful conflicts where heart and mind struggle toward mutual destruction. His poetry was published in major collections across decades: 1927, 1938, 1946, 1959, and 1968, reinforcing his sustained commitment to form as a disciplined emotional instrument. Robert Frost, traditional form, everyday wisdom, and isolation. Although American by birth, Robert Frost, 1874 to 1963, became widely known in England, where his first two books appeared. Frost refused experimental verse. His poetry is traditional in form, but modern in emotional insight. He wrote about real situations and rural life, people finding contentment despite hardship, isolation, and the failure of communication. Formerly, Frost often used dramatic monologue, frequently in blank verse, but his greatest strength lies in the lyric, where he compresses a whole moral situation into memorable simplicity. At times, his moralizing becomes prosy or sentimental, but at his best, he achieves what he considered poetry's true end. It begins in delight and ends in wisdom. Important books include North of Boston 1914, New Hampshire 1923, West Running Brook 1928, A Further Range 1936, Complete Poems 1951. Frost also exemplifies new traditionalism's democratic clarity, language simple enough for readers of all ages, yet intense enough to hold attention through precision and understatement. And now conclusion. The new traditionalists form a crucial countercurrent within interwar poetry. They demonstrate that modern consciousness did not require perpetual formal rupture. By limiting experiment and renewing traditional structures from within, they produced poetry capable of emotional depth, moral reflection, and social relevance without obscurity. Campbell's vigor, Muir's northern dignity, Young's rural clarity, Graves's ironic restraint, and Frost's plain-spoken wisdom together show how tradition could remain alive, adaptable, searching, and strong inside a rapidly changing modern world. So, this was the discussion on the new traditionalism in poetry during interwar years. We will meet in the next video and take up some other topic. Until then, goodbye and thank you.